Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
And here we go.
Live from the Hollywood foothills of North Carolina, welcome to episode 80 of the Confirmed Epic Podcast, the official podcast of the epicreview.com and proudly presented by the Geeks Worldwide Radio Network. I am one of your hosts, the real Brad Bell, and joining me today, as always, is my dear friend and co-host, Andrew Stokes, also known as
Andrew Stokes.
Andrew, episode 80. I never knew that we would make it this far, 20 away from the century mark, my friend. Can you believe it?
Yes, we're very great and we're awesome and we deserve to be even farther.
Yeah, we made a lot of efforts in 2017 to be somewhat consistent with the podcast. So
how did it turn out?
I think it turned out pretty well. I think we got about 20 episodes in the books for this year, if not more.
What's our record?
For a year?
Yeah.
I don't know. We probably did like 25, 30 in 2013, 2014.
Yeah.
One of those 2 years. But speaking of that, yeah, when we had no lives, no wives, no kids on the way.
He has no life.
No, you have a life. You have a house. You have a serious girlfriend. So I would say that we're both a lot busier than we were when we started this podcast. So I just want to start out by wishing everybody a happy new year. This will be dropping right at the end of 2017, but we hope 2018 is a confirmed epic year in a great way for you. And in this episode, we're going to end the year with a bang because we're going to count down our top 10 films of 2017, going 10 through 1, having some honorable mentions in there. I'm just going to preface this podcast by saying we've seen a lot of movies this year. But we have not seen every movie this year, including a lot of the awards contenders. For example, we haven't seen The Greatest Showman. We haven't seen Ingrid Goes West. We haven't seen Lady Bird.
Pitch Perfect 3.
Yeah, Pitch Perfect 3.
Lego Ninjago.
Yeah, I wanted to do this podcast at the end of the year, though, so it's just the cutoff. Whatever we've seen, of course, is what's going to comprise our top 10.
It's probably too late now. But one thought I was having, because we do plan on down the line in a week or so having our top 10 most anticipated 2018, that maybe that should have been the first one.
Well, I was just it was gonna be like fall and winter 2018.
Right.
But looking at the list of movies, I kind of previewed that, and it looks like we maybe should make that a top 5 because it's kind of scarce.
I was like about half an hour ago going through some of those movies, and yeah.
So besides happy 2018 and happy New Year to everybody, today is Stan Lee's 95th birthday.
Yay!
Excelsior is hard to believe, but
so old.
And he's still going around doing the con circuit, and albeit shooting.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Wow.
He took some time off, but I don't know if he'll be doing it in 2018. But I know the second half of 2017, he was busy. We have a full show for you today. News is kind of scarce because it's holidays, but we're going to get into some news as well as what we've been checking out over the Christmas break. So let's go ahead and get into what we've been checking out. Andrew Stokes, what have you been checking out this week?
I've been checking out Hulu's show Future Man.
Josh Hutcherson, right? Evan told me about it.
Really? Joe, maybe it was Evan. I feel like it was Joe or Evan I saw recently. They were telling me about it, but I saw them both the same night, so it could have been either one of them, I suppose. I could have sworn it was Joe, though. But yeah, it's okay, I guess. It's been an entertaining thing to kind of put it on in the background.
Kind of like the Confirmed Epic Podcast.
Oh, but no, it's way better than that. I mean, it has its moments. It's kind of cliche at some points. It reminds me of the what's that one CW DC show with the time travel and stuff going on?
Legends of Tomorrow.
Legends of Tomorrow. It reminds me of Legends of Tomorrow if they tried to turn it into a half-hour comedy.
Yeah, it's a straight up comedy, right? With science
Right.
fiction
And
elements.
it's not like necessarily super funny, but like it has its moments. I've been entertained by it, but I'm not sure I can necessarily recommend it yet to anybody.
Of course, Josh Hutcherson is he played Peter from Hunger Games. Yeah. And I really enjoyed that guy in those films. In fact, he was one of the choices, one of the finalists, I should say, to be Mark Webb's Spider-Man. And Andrew Garfield ended up winning out. But I actually, at the time, I was rooting for Josh Hutcherson. I thought he'd have made a good Peter Parker.
Yeah, I mean, he's good in this. I think everybody's pretty good in this for what their roles are. I just it probably could be funnier. Like I say, it is kind of cliche sometimes. You have like two of the main characters are like from the future, where like it's an apocalyptic future, and so they don't understand, video games and this and that and the other thing. So it's a lot of like a lot of like misunderstandings and that kind of stuff going on. But there's some time travel stuff. It's interesting. It's not, I don't know.
Do you think that,
I guess maybe, but
if you had to say from Hunger Games to this, is his career on a downward trajectory or not?
I'm probably on the same trajectory.
It seems like just a step down. I mean, I know. Go ahead.
Based on like other things I've seen, Netflix has their original programming going on. Amazon, I've seen Man in the High Castle. The only thing I've seen from Hulu up to this point was 11/22/63, which was, a miniseries. And that was really well done, very good. This one does feel like an internet show. You know what I mean? Whereas Netflix and all that stuff feels like good, premium TV. This definitely feels like it could be like a show you found on YouTube.
Like a web series, pretty much.
Exactly. So
almost
still
not
good. There's some good production quality and stuff to it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to poo-poo it or whatever, but it's, I don't know. I think I was expecting a little bit more based on the recommendation I was given. So
it's not even the CW quality. It's the CW Microsoft Surface side story quality that you have to go online.
I'm watching this. I'm not watching the CW's DC show. So, take that for what it is. But
so that's Future Man starring Josh Hutcherson on Hulu. I've been checking out two things this week, and you may have something else as well you've been checking out. I wanted to say that I've been playing more video games in the past probably 3 days than I played in the past 3 years, it feels like.
Wow.
Yeah, I've got the Xbox One X. I got a couple of games for it. I got Madden, Call of Duty, World War II, and Battlefront 2, Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Oh, wow, really?
And I've been hooked on Battlefront 2. I played 2 or 3 games of Madden, hadn't even opened Call of Duty, just because the story on this Battlefront 2 is really good.
You're playing the campaign, not online.
I've been doing a little bit of both. I've been doing some team deathmatch, and it's a lot of fun. The atmospheres are crazy. You're going through all trilogies as far as maps, sequel, prequel, and original trilogy. Right. And playing on 4K HDR, 60 frames per second. Like, yeah, you put in the game, especially atmospheric wise, you notice the difference, especially the 60 frames per second aspect of gaming on the Xbox One X. But the story is good. It follows an Imperial group called the Inferno Squadron right after Return of the Jedi. And it is, they say, about a 4.5 hour campaign. I'm probably a little over halfway done with it. And they just added kind of an epilogue story to it that connects to The Last Jedi that was free downloadable content. I'm loving this game. It got a lot of hell for the loot boxes, asking people to pay for them. They since took that system out of it.
Right.
If you're a Star Wars fan, though, like I am, I mean, this is just like pure eye candy, man, to see and be able to play in these worlds at this graphic capability. It's great. If I would recommend it. I know that sounds crazy based on reviews. It's getting somewhere between 5 to 7 out of 10 on most review sites that I see.
Yeah.
So I
It's
had
really been
the
that it's all about that kind of loot box stuff. I haven't heard that the game itself like plays poorly or anything, but it's all about that like the loot box system and the progression online. Like the way to progress is by unlocking this stuff, these boxes or whatever. And I don't know, sounded awful as far as that goes to me.
yeah.
But I mean, it looks really nice. I've seen gameplay. It looks really cool.
The
I like
story is basically the reverse Rogue One, so you're an Imperial instead of a rebel. But
I mean, that sounds cool. The story I've heard a lot of good things about, and it's I'd like to check it out. What was I gonna say? Yeah, and I know there's like there's prequel stuff in this, right? You can be like the battle droids and that kind of stuff.
yeah, well, I hadn't messed around too. Well, I've only played like 2 or 3 team death matches.
Okay.
One I was First Order Stormtroopers. The other and we were playing on Star Killer Base,
Okay.
which was cool. The other I was just regular Stormtroopers, and we were playing on Tatooine and Indoor. I think I played on Indoor, so I haven't really played any of the prequel maps yet.
Okay.
But I mean, they're big maps. That's the one. What?
With the what they call Last Jedi little creatures.
Oh, the porgs.
No, geez. Return of the Jedi.
Oh, Ewoks.
Ewoks. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, Ewoks are on there. Okay. Yeah, the forest moon of Endor.
But the moon's not Endor, right? The planet's Endor.
The forest moon of Endor. Yeah, I mean, the moon is just the forest moon. The planet's Endor. So I was playing on the forest moon.
It's all good. No, I'm sorry. I'm just okay.
Yeah, and Ewoks were, I mean, you weren't playing as Ewoks, but like they were around, kind of rummaging around and scattering as shots were fired.
That's cool.
And stuff.
You on like the speeder bikes?
No, I haven't done that, but you can. There's so many different game modes and stuff. There's one kind of knock for me as far as multiplayer. There's no chat. There's no online chat. I mean, you can do a party and stuff.
That's weird.
Yeah, so that kind of takes the community building out of it a little bit.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. Some games are hit and miss though, as far as even having anybody on the other end of that microphone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Call of Duty is a big one for having people on that other end, but usually they're just annoying or they're kids or both.
I've had good luck with playing Rainbow Six Siege online. I've been playing on the PlayStation 4, but a lot of people are on their mics, it feels like, and they're actually playing the game. Now, sometimes
that's cool.
Sometimes it's awful BS, but a lot of times I've actually been surprised at how cool everybody's been on there.
Did you check anything else out before I get into my last one?
I don't think so. I've been playing some new board games, as typical for Christmas. Got some board games, but haven't really got a chance to check any of them out, really. So
I finally got to watch, Abby and I did, Darren Aronofsky's, I can't get the name out, Mother.
Did you?
Starring Jennifer Lawrence and Javier Bardem. And I'm
out already on DVD or on demand or something?
Yeah, it's out on both, actually. You can buy a physical copy, and we actually just watched it DirecTV on demand. We were both off looking for something to do, kind of bored, so we decided to watch that. Maybe not the best decision, considering my wife is about approaching 6 months pregnant.
Yeah.
But I had heard so much about this movie, just how it's batshit, and there's a part in the movie.
In a good way?
Well, it seemed to be pretty divisive. People either loved the movie or they hated the movie. I'm not going to spoil it here. I mean, this would have been a fun one to actually review. They said there was a part in the movie in which people got up, and walked out of the theater. So I'm expecting something terrible, and I kept waiting for that moment. And there's a bunch of weirdness that ensues. And the most disturbing thing happens in the last 10 minutes of the film. So I can't imagine that's what they were talking about when they said halfway through people got up and walked out of the theater. Right. So, I mean, strong performances. You got Michelle Pfeiffer, you got Ed Harris, you got Domhnall Gleeson, in addition to the two leads, Javier Bardem and Jennifer Lawrence. And it's some of the best acting I've ever seen Jennifer Lawrence do. So she should be proud of this film. It's all filmed from like over the shoulder, her POV, the whole movie. So that can be a little off-putting, but just the atmosphere that Aronofsky creates, he has a knack for that. Very similar to how I did with Black Swan. He just kind of keeps you mentally on the edge of your seat. Not that you're wanting something or expecting something to happen, but just kind of your nerves are almost shot by the situations he puts his characters in and how he shoots those situations. So I would recommend it. I would probably give it a good and a half to great, probably a good and a half. It was good I saw this because I actually did consider putting it in my top 10. So
okay, yeah. Well, I mean, excuse me. Yeah, there's definitely some movies this year that I would have liked to have gotten a chance to see before we've done this.
yeah,
But I mean, that's every year though. You know,
I would
there's always
still
so many
say
movies come out.
we probably, even though you and I didn't see as many movies this year, maybe as we had in years past, we saw a lot of movies.
Yeah.
Compared to the average cinema goer, I would say.
Yeah. No, but there's definitely still a list of and that Mother's on there of movies I still want to see from this year.
Yeah.
So,
all right,
including some that just came out. I mean, I don't imagine Pitch Perfect 3 would probably make my top 10 of the year. Still like to see it though. You know what I mean?
I've heard it's bad, but it's all subjective, man.
It is.
Okay, let's go ahead and get into some epic news. We're going to backtrack onto some older epic news because it's not something we got to talk about on the podcast. That is Disney bought 20th Century Fox. Depending on how you look at this, this is either great news or it's bad news. From the geek perspective, you know, it's great. Marvel's getting control of things like the Fantastic Four and the X-Men. When I say Marvel, of course, I mean Disney, talking about Marvel Studios, which I've been wanting for years and years, especially on the Fan Four angle. But you have one less major studio in Hollywood now. You also have a lot of people losing their jobs at 20th Century Fox.
Yeah.
Right around the holidays, because you think of something like a whole bunch of animators from 20th Century Fox are getting laid off because Disney already has, you know, top of the line animators at all their animation studios. So from that side of things, it's very upsetting. But let's
more clout. They're already kind of pushing their weight around before with Last Jedi and stuff, and now they're going to have, you know, even more of this stuff, you know.
Yeah, it's getting to the point to where they own everything. Let's talk about the deal real quick as far as the details. Fox remains independent as far as Fox Sports, talking about like your NFL on Fox, NASCAR on Fox and stuff, and the Fox News Channel, the flagship conservative news station. Right. So those are going to be completely they were off the table for this deal. They remain independent of Disney.
The Fox TV station as well, correct?
No, they get control of Fox TV, including FX and FXX.
Oh, geez. But like Simpsons and stuff as well?
The Simpsons is now Disney.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So it'd be interesting to see if Disney will put the Simpsons on their streaming platform, because they quit releasing the DVDs, and diehard Simpsons fans are kind of upset because they collected 17-something seasons and they just want to finish it out.
Yeah.
But anyway, this is something we speculated on for it seems like a year, but it was more like a month and a half. So now that it finally has happened, Andrew Stokes, what are your feelings on this?
I don't know. I feel like it's one of those kind of maybe wait and see type things, because I can kind of see it from both ends. I can see like I'm happy to have the X-Men, the Fan Four, and all that kind of stuff back with Marvel. That's cool. That's interesting. But yeah, having this studio that has this much, you know, even more weight behind them now, especially with, you know, we love what they're doing with Marvel. I'm a little back and forth about what they're doing with Star Wars. You know what I mean?
I am too.
So now they have all this other stuff. So, you know, I don't know.
I'm
long as they
worrying
don't,
that it will be worse for Hollywood because now you have one less major studio to
right.
try to take a screenplay to. I mean, you only have 4 major studios now. You have Sony, you have Warner Brothers, you have Universal, and you have Disney. That's it now, which is still diversity and still competition. It'd be interesting to see if the Trump administration will approve this. There's
Right.
antitrust laws, of course, that you have to be met and
With
stuff.
them getting the Fox station, it makes me feel like that could be a big hurdle for them because I mean they already own ABC, you know. So
Well, they're not getting Fox News,
sure, they're not getting
but
Fox News, but just
which
getting
would
Fox.
not make sense because, like you said, they own ABC News, which is a moderate to liberal news outlet.
Hmm.
Yeah, but that is a lot of the major networks. They control 2 of the major networks.
Sure, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, just owning Fox itself. Um, oh, I really hope they've came out about Deadpool and saying they could still have the rated R Deadpool and that kind of stuff. That's great. I really hope that there's no interference on the Avatar front. I hope they let I mean James Cameron did his own thing and made that blockbuster movie what it was. So hopefully they're just going to let him continue to do his own thing over there.
I'm sure they will as James Cameron, but that they own Avatar now, which makes it kind of sense because there's the Avatar land at Disney World now.
Yeah, exactly. It was
which theme park rights are a whole nother thing. They're crazy, but
so Universal still owns what the rights to solo Hulk movies? Is that correct?
to Hulk and Neymar, that's it.
Oh, so that's where Namor was. I was wondering where Namor was. I thought he was tied maybe in the Fan Four. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
So they're almost complete. They still have that, but they can still use Hulk in these team up films, from what I understand. So
What's interesting is Kevin Feige had been planning for this. It had been rumored that this was going to come down the pipeline for months and months before we ever heard about it. And when he said he has the next 20 movies planned out, I guess now that makes a little more sense. You have to figure that this is going to revolve a lot around the Fan Four and the X-Men moving forward.
Yeah.
Post Avengers 4.
And it's kind of like the perfect time to do so as well, because they have this whole Infinity Stone storyline getting ready to go on, and this can, bend and alter realities. And Scarlet Witch is involved as well, you know what I mean? So there's definitely, I feel like, the opportunity story-wise to introduce the X-Men and Fan 4 without it being like, well, where have you guys been the whole time? You know what I mean? Spider-Man being this hometown superhero in a way kind of makes sense why we didn't necessarily see him hanging out with Iron Man before now. But the X-Men and Charles Xavier and Reed Richards and stuff, it makes a little less sense. But I mean, when it comes to Marvel, I'm trusting what they're doing. So if anybody can figure it out, I think it's going to be them. So
I mean, we'll get everything now. I'm sure we'll get House of M, we'll get Avengers versus X-Men, and all this stuff. And I'm guessing, they'll allow Fox to wrap up this latest set of X-Men movies.
You think so?
With the Phoenix, yeah, I'm sure that'll still come out, and Deadpool.
Just stop it.
And New Mutants and all that stuff.
Well,
that's on the
sure
horizon.
the stuff that's done. I mean, is the next X-Men film, as far as the Phoenix stuff, even started shooting yet?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They've done principal photography and stuff.
Well, I'm sure all that business will come out, like especially like New Mutants coming out like in a couple months or whatever, right? It's coming out
in March,
yeah. So yeah, a lot of that stuff, I'm sure, especially Deadpool. But I wouldn't be surprised any stuff that may have been in the works. That's all probably nixed now.
Yeah, I'm lukewarm on this. I don't want everything to become Marvelized. We're starting to see that in Star Wars. And as far as Marvel being Marvel, they got that formula figured out. That's not what I'm talking about. But just every other property that they touch, it's like, okay, we have this formula with Marvel that works. Let's go ahead and apply that to these other major properties. And I think that's going to water down some of the cinematic product.
What properties do they get that they could really make this an expanded universe with? Other than maybe Avatar, I guess.
Avatar, let's see. What else do they get that Fox owns? I guess going back to the Marvel stuff, I kind of enjoyed that the X-Men stuff, especially the latest Deadpool and Logan, had its own flavor. And I know they say they're going to keep that R-rated. And with Deadpool, I guess I can see them easily making him a cheesy PG-13 character, and that would piss a lot of folks off. But I don't imagine that would be R-rated for too much longer with Disney. I know they say they are. I would like to see them do like a Marvel Knights studio where they can do maybe non-canon or kind of just hard R stuff.
Didn't work out too well for them the first time, though, did it?
What do you mean?
When they had their first Marvel Knights studio with Punisher and the new Ghost Rider movie or whatever.
Did they call that Marvel Knights?
They had a Marvel Knights studio when they started doing like Iron Man stuff. That was supposed to be like their darker, more adult stuff. That was where wasn't that where Warzone came out of or something?
I didn't know that. I know the Marvel Knights comic book line where you had Inhumans, Black Panther, Daredevil.
Yeah, it was like Marvel Knights Studios, which was like part of the Marvel Studios or something. I think that was like all before Disney bought them.
Yeah. Dang, I don't even remember that. That shows you how effective that was. So
I think that the second Ghost Rider movie, I think it may have been a part of that as well.
yeah. Hey, I'm gonna go let Cookie the Beagle in. Tell us the listeners about one of the board games you got for Christmas, real quick.
Okay. Well, I haven't actually played any of the board games I got for Christmas. So, but I have. I'm trying to remember everything I got. I got Fun Employed, which there's some YouTube videos of people playing Fun Employed. If you want to check that out, it's looks like a fun game. Looking forward to playing it myself. Codenames is a big game, which you may have played before. I have the original Codenames, and now I have Codenames Disney and Codenames Marvel. And I've played the Disney before, so I'm looking forward to trying out Marvel. Definitely probably needs a nerdier crowd to get some of those, regardless of whether you're using the words or the pictures on that one. But I mean, it looks just like regular Codenames. So, more Codenames is always fun. You're back, Brad.
Yeah, I'm back.
You've never played Codenames, right? The board game?
No.
You should play. I think it's one of those. It's gotten like really popular. Like everybody, you can go to Walmart or Target or something. Actually, Target has an exclusive version of Codenames. So it's a pretty popular game. We should come over sometime, play it with you and the missus, the mother Beagles.
Yeah, we need to play some board games again sometime, maybe before baby Harper gets here.
Yeah, and I have a Marvel version of Codenames as well. So might be something to try out.
Let's move on with the news here. We're getting 2 new Chappelle Show stand-up specials on Netflix, and they're both hitting on New Year's Eve. This was a surprise. I read about it 2 days ago, had no idea it was in the works. So I'm excited to watch those. We discussed the other 2 on the podcast earlier in the summer, I believe. So This would be a lot of fun to check out at the beginning of 2018.
I think so.
So I know you're a big Chappelle fan, so I expect you'll check that out.
Yeah.
Sarah Paulson from American Horror Story fame, most notably, and The People versus O.J. Simpson, is making a big push to play Cheetah, who is supposed to be the primary antagonist in the November 1st, 2019 Wonder Woman sequel. I'm a big Sarah Paulson fan. I think she can play just about any role. She's a good antagonist. Well, yeah, you know what I mean. But what do you any thoughts on this? I'm kind of worried about Cheetah maybe as a villain, but
if you're going to attach yourself to one of these DC films, it might be one of the Wonder Woman films, right?
Yeah. And this is all her just pushing, so
sure.
Like
he did pushing to own the Panthers.
Yeah, let's hope that doesn't happen. AMC, the movie theater chain, is considering charging higher prices for better seats, almost kind of in a sporting event style move. It's kind of weird because they already do the assigned seating, but every seat's the same price. And I feel like seating at a movie theater, even maybe more so than a sporting event, is much more subjective. I mean, you have people who like to sit at the top, sit at the bottom, sit in the middle.
Yeah.
So I don't. They were sent out a survey to people who are a member of their Stubs program, so you should be getting that soon, Andrew,
Okay.
to see
I'm
if
gonna tell
people.
my favorite seat is the very front row in the flat section.
What do you think about this? Would you pay, let's say, $2 more a ticket to sit wherever you wanted to get the quote unquote best seats in the house?
I don't know. Does Movie Pass cover it?
Yeah, I assume Movie Pass will cover
Well,
it.
that sounds good to me. Doesn't cost me anything more, and I can sit where I want. Sounds wonderful.
Yeah, speaking of Movie Pass, they had passed 1 million subscribers. So most of that, of course, coming this year.
Yeah.
Some Movie Pass people had problems on Christmas Day. Christmas Day is one of the biggest theater going days of the entire year.
Yeah.
And the app was down in a lot of places because it was overloaded with so many requests.
Yeah, I bet some people probably got Movie Pass for Christmas and stuff as well.
Yeah. But going back to the AMC thing real quick, if you didn't have, you and I both have Movie Pass, and we're going to keep with that as long as the too good to be true thing remains true with Movie Pass. Like, would you pay though if it was back in the old days when we actually paid a price for movie tickets?
I'd have to see the pricing and see what seats they are. I mean, I definitely have my preferred seats, and if they cost $2 more than like the row right behind them, then I wouldn't care about doing the row right behind or something like that.
What's your preferred seating?
As far as left and right, definitely in the middle. And then probably, pretty much in the middle from top to bottom as well. I don't like to be at the very top. I don't like to be right on the front row either. So
I like to be about 3 rows from the top on the very end seat in case I pee a lot during a movie. So I
just hate watching it from the side for whatever reason.
Yeah, it's all preference. Like that would be my seat that I would want. So
you probably get it for cheaper.
Yeah, probably get it for cheaper. So that's the thing. Well, the price for quote unquote non-desirable seats, will they be cheaper than an average movie ticket, or will they just be the price of a movie ticket? Probably just the price.
Probably just the price, and it's interesting. Movies it's an interesting business they got going on there.
Yeah, what I really want to happen is a 4DX theater to come to Charlotte at least, because I just want to experience that.
Smell-o-vision or something? What is that?
That's where you get the smells, the seat moves when it snows on the movie screen, it snows in the theater. It's basically like a ride. It's like $40 to see a movie that way. But I would go see like 1 or 2 movies a year. Obviously, major
like that.
Transformers. Star Wars too, I would have seen.
It's just a smell of gasoline for like 2.5 hours.
It's a lot of gasoline for real. I'm excited though because another quick news story that I didn't put in the show notes. In Raleigh, we know that they're opening up an Alamo Drafthouse Theater there. And they're actually connected to the theater is a VHS rental store that rents out RF adapters and VHS players as well, VCRs as we used to call them. I don't understand the nostalgia for VHS, but apparently there is nostalgia for VHS. So it'll be interesting if people will go beyond pulling out their old players and tapes to actually spending money on this dead format again.
The only thing I can understand is if you had some movie or movies that were only on VHS, you couldn't get them on DVD or something.
But how many are like that? I mean, the Star Wars unedited, they're on VHS and Laserdisc. They've never got a DVD. Yeah. So that would be
the unedited version was on one of the DVDs, but it was like a special feature or something.
I don't think so.
We'll look into it. I didn't know they were on VHS. I thought
it
was some sort of like tweaked version.
No, the last release of the originals is the Faces version, where it has Vader on the New Hope cover, and it has the Stormtrooper on the Empire cover and Yoda on the Jedi cover. And those were released VHS and Laserdisc. So that's the ones where you get a lot of basically the original films. So, I mean, that would be something, I guess. But
Okay.
that's another thing to go back to earlier thing. Disney buying Fox, maybe we'll get the 20th century fanfare before the Star Wars movies now.
Ooh, that'd be interesting.
Yeah, I'd like to
Do
see
they
that.
own that? Do they own that? Like, do they own the Fox logo and stuff too?
Yeah, they own all that now.
Interesting.
So yeah, it's very hashtag interesting. Speaking of Star Wars, let's end with some sad Star Wars news. Star Wars star Alfie Curtis, who played Dr. Evazan, Ponda Baba's trusty assistant. Jerry and I are big Dr. Evazan fans. Is passed away at the age of, I believe, 82 about 3 days ago.
I don't want to be insensitive, but I'm
I
not
mean,
sure any of those characters are.
Ponda Baba's the guy who has a butt for a face.
Okay.
Dr. Evazan's the guy in the cantina.
He doesn't like
My
you.
friend doesn't like you either. I have a death sentence on 12 systems.
Yeah, so he's the one that passed away.
Yeah, the guy that says that. So, and they made a cameo in Rogue One, if you remember.
I do. It's man, what a cameo.
I lost my shit on that. I've tried to
I
get
did
Abby
like
to watch Rogue One.
I feel like that's one of those cameos that wasn't too bad, actually. It wasn't as bad as the C-3PO R2-D2 cameo. God, I hate
No. Well, the scenery made sense as far as scum and villainy that those two would be there in that moment, whereas 3PO and R2 just kind of felt forced, no pun intended.
What happened to just putting things in the background for fans to enjoy? Like, why do we have to shove this stuff in the face of everybody?
That's Disney, man. All right, let's go ahead and get into our main topic, which is our top 10 films of 2017. As we said in the opening, we'll go 10 through 1. Then we'll do honorable mentions. I don't want to do any honorable mentions first just because that will give away kind of the surprise of what's not on the list. Exactly right. We're going to go 10 through 1. We'll alternate. I'll go first. Andrew, my number 10 movie of 2017 is The Big Sick.
Okay.
Directed by Michael Showalter. I cannot say the guy's name. Maggiani, I believe is how you say his last name.
Spot on.
Yeah, I can't say the first name, but of course he is the Indian guy from Silicon Valley. This was a big breakout movie for him. He is a very popular stand-up comedian, guy who's kind of been a rising star. Did you get a chance to see The Big Sick?
Unfortunately, I did not. It was definitely one I wanted to see, but yeah, I did not.
That was one that Abby and I watched, and it really lives up to that score, which is like 97% or 95 or something like that. But it's the story of a guy, basically. The best way I could describe it, probably, and this isn't to be insensitive or anything, it's Master of None, the movie.
Right.
It is it explores the Indian immigrant culture of arranged marriages in a very entertaining way. It's a guy who's trying to make it in his own path, not just stick with his religion or his ethnic heritage in New York. And he's working. He is a aspiring stand-up comedian. He's also an Uber driver, and he meets this girl who he falls head over heels for when he is driving her home one night from I believe it was a bad date. And I'm going to try not to spoil any of these movies too much. It has some good supporting actors in it. You have Ray Romano as the girl's father. So that's pretty cool. You don't see him in too many things, movies or TV. And you have as the girl's mother, I can't think of her name. She is the senator in Batman versus Superman. Judi Dench, that's her name. So she's the mother. So
I was going to say Natalie Portman.
Very good movie. Abby and I really enjoyed it. It's a great date movie. It's one of the most it has some downer moments, but I would say it's one of the most heartwarming movies I saw in 2017. So I highly recommend it. So that's The Big Sick at number 10. What's your number 10, Andrew?
My number 10 is Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi.
Oh, wow. I was wondering if this would make an appearance on your list.
man, my list is just great. I mean, I really debated some of these later movies on my list, whether to put them on my list or if so, where at. Because I don't know, a lot of these movies, I'm not going to get into which ones aren't on the list yet, but some of them, it's like they could be on the list. Do I like them more or less than some of the other ones? I'm not sure.
I struggled with the 8 through 10 too. My top 7 were like solidified pretty easily.
My top 4 definitely. My top 7, I would say, yeah, like these are going to be on the list. Where I'm not sure they were in the top 7. But yeah, some of these later ones, I really debated even putting some of them on the list. Not because they were bad, they were just probably as good as some of the ones I left off the list.
So what makes Last Jedi make the list for you at 10?
I don't know. There's just some nice moments in this film. There's some pretty cool moments. I have some issues with some of the plot.
What plot?
The the plot, the chase.
Yeah.
But some of the stuff with like Kylo and Rey and Luke is really nice. There's some really cool moments in the film. It didn't really feel like
Kylo Rey. Don't spoil that new character.
So yeah. But that's why it makes number 10. It wasn't my favorite movie of the year, but I think it was deserving to at least be there.
Spoiler alert, it's on my list.
Yeah, go figure.
All right, let's go to number 9. My number 9 is a movie we reviewed on the Confirmed Epic podcast.
Let me guess.
All right.
Life of Pets.
No, that was 2016.
Okay.
It is Catherine Bigelow's Detroit. This tells the story of the Detroit riots. It stars John Boyega and a breakout performance, probably my favorite performance of the year, from Will Poulter, who I think would make an excellent Joker, and he is just one of the most terrifying characters I've seen on screen in the past 3 or 4 years. He's not just a racist cop. That would be underselling it. I mean, he is truly menacing in that role.
He's a crazy man.
Yeah, I think John Boyega is better in this movie than he is definitely The Last Jedi, maybe even The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
Maybe even Attack of the Block, which he's really good in.
I haven't seen that yet.
You enjoyed this movie. It's a heavy historical drama.
Yeah.
Not much levity there at all. It kind of sends the same type of messages that something like Get Out does, but in a very more, I don't want to say sincere, but in a more serious way.
Yeah.
So this movie surprised me. It was one I kind of just like, well, we need something to review. This is the big release this week. It's Catherine Bigelow. But yeah, it ended up being number 9 on my list and knocking some movies off that you think would probably be on here. So
yeah, it was it definitely maybe looked a little ahead of time. It looked like maybe it was going to be a little heavy-handed or something, but I think it was a really well done movie as well.
All right, Andrew, what's your number 9?
My number 9 was also a surprise for me, and that's Life with Jake Gyllenhaal and why can't I remember his name? Who's the other guy? Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, Life, I gave you my digital code for this movie.
You did. I appreciate that because I really enjoyed this movie. It's basically a modern version of Alien is what it feels like.
Yeah.
Almost like a remake to a degree. And there's definitely some there's a few moments in the film where it's like, okay, how this thing survived that, or how the humans not get out of that situation. There are a few moments like that, but I think overall it's really entertaining, and it really stuck with me throughout the year, even though I saw it quite some time ago.
So. The movie looks great, and while it is kind of a modern take on Alien, maybe almost too much so to its detriment, it's
not as good as Alien.
It's not as good as the Alien. No, it's almost like saying Conjuring's not as good as The Exorcist, though. I mean, The Conjuring would have been The Exorcist if it came out first. Life would be Alien if it came out first. It's just
I think Alien would still be the better film. maybe a better version of life. Honestly, like,
Really?
I think so. Maybe I have rose-colored glasses for Alien. Maybe I need to go back and watch it. But to me, Alien was like a pretty menacing movie. This was more so entertaining than like truly like terrifying or anything.
Yeah, man. Life is a movie I kind of forgot about, even though I own it on 4K Blu-ray. Um, like I forgot about it when I was making my list. Now I'm wondering, do I want to change something here?
Really?
Yeah, you've really made me think about it. Oh man, ugh. But
Bye, Big Sick.
no, I actually would. Okay, so that's your number 9, right?
Number
Life.
9.
So my number 8
is Life.
It's Last Jedi, but I'm debating, did I like Life more? And putting Life in there over Last Jedi. I'm going to stick with Last Jedi. I'm going to stick with my list. Life would definitely have been my number 11 for sure.
Okay.
I
wasn't sure how much you liked it. I thought maybe you're going to poo-poo my pick a little bit.
Oh, hell no. I love that movie, and I wanted to see that in the theater, and it took it forever to come out. It didn't come out on Blu-ray until like late summer or midsummer.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was an excellent pick. I'm gonna go with Last Jedi. It subverted a lot of expectations in some good ways and some bad ways. We did a 2-hour discussion on this last week. To me, that scene between Leia and Luke, and then when Luke stares down the AT-ATs, is good enough to make it number 8 on my list. It made me tear up a lot, especially in the second viewing. But go to episode 79 for a more in-depth take on that. So Last Jedi is my number 8. What's your number 8? And that's by Ryan Johnson, of course. What's your number 8, Andrew?
My number 8 is Split, starring James McAvoy and the girl from which I cannot remember her name, and I didn't look it up. But Split, have you seen Split yet?
No, I hadn't. I've wanted to see this one all year.
I keep telling you and Jerry especially, I don't think he's seen it yet either. I don't know. I really enjoyed this film. I don't know. So there's some really cool moments and kind of tense moments. You just really not really sure what's going on or where the movie's going to go for most of the film, including up to the end. And then the very end of the film, don't want to give anything away, but the very end of the film is just, maybe it's a little fanboy of me or something, but it's a really cool moment at the end of the film. But I mean, overall, I just think it was one of the really good ones of this year, obviously, because I put it on my list. So
and that was like a January movie, kind of bucking the trend that good movies can't come out in January.
Jeez, was it January?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Split's on a lot of top 10s that I've been reading, and listening to. So that's a solid choice. Again, that's one of those I haven't seen, but that's one I really want to see. So
M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah, M. Night Shyamalan.
Coming back.
Okay, we're to the top 7 here. My number 7 is Wind River, directed by Taylor Sheridan. This is the first movie Taylor Sheridan actually has directed, but he wrote the movies Hell or High Water and Sicario, and he's directing the Sicario sequels, Soldado.
Okay.
I love this movie. Jeremy Renner, Elizabeth Olsen. So you get some Scarlet Witch Hawkeye action here. Sit in Wyoming on an Indian reservation. A murder of a local girl occurs. You got John Bernthal in an actually good role in this movie as well. I'm always not a big Bernthal fan, but I really
Ryder seems to like Bernthal then, huh?
Yeah, I really liked Bernthal in this role. So now it's not a major role. He's definitely a supporting character, but there's a lot of emotional weight to this film. It resonated with me. It is just beautifully shot. I mean, it was shot on location in Wyoming. So just to see kind of the way that Indian reservations are now, I guess I tend to think of them historically, going back to the Trail of Tears and things, and then another relocation after the Oklahoma land rush and whatnot. And I don't necessarily think about them in modern times, and just kind of how isolated they are and how depressing that can be, and just a great too good in this movie, father-daughter stories, which just resonated with me because when I watched it, we had just found out we were having a girl. I mean, epic movie, I would say. Great and a half to epic movie. So that's my number 7, Wind River.
This is one I did not get to see this year, but another one that I really wanted to, and a lot of people have suggested it to me. So, I mean, based on what I've heard, I think it's a solid pick.
What's your 7, Andrew?
My number 7, just going back to number 8 real quick. I wanted to Anya Taylor-Joy was the actress in the other role there for Split. I just wanted to kind of give her credit because I think she was good in The Witch and she was good in this too. My number 7 is Thor Ragnarok. I think Marvel did a very good job this year with their superhero films, including Thor Ragnarok here. It was very funny. It's essentially a comedy burst almost a lot of times, and an action movie set. Definitely has a different tone than the first 2 Thor movies, and this is one we've reviewed on the podcast. If you listen to that, you kind of know my opinion on the film. But I mean, it's just a very entertaining, enjoyable film. One of the better Marvel films, I feel like.
It's a crowd pleaser. That's the best way to describe it.
The only criticism I had was maybe there were certain moments where maybe it's a little too goofy or something that there were a couple beats I wish were a little more serious, but at least, I think for the most part, the tone of the movie did itself very good job.
And you have Korg, played by the director Taika Waititi, who's like one of my favorite characters of this whole year.
Jeff Goldblum's in this, and I think he did a good job. So, what was his character's name? Grandmaster or something like that?
Yeah. I'm just gonna say this did not make my list.
Interesting. Okay.
So yeah, Thor Ragnarok is your number 7.
Number 7.
Let's go to number 6. I have a feeling this movie went all the way from 6 to number 1 as far as where I originally placed it. I ended up putting it at 6. It's Get Out, Jordan Peele. This is a movie I think it came out in February. So another early year movie that I missed in the theater, but watched it as soon as it came out on demand. I think even before it was even released on physical media. And I mean, this is just a very genre commentary on race, on modern racism in America. I mean, it is truly original. I've never seen anything like it. It's got some good supporting cast like Bradley Whitford's in here. Now it's got a girl I hate from Girls. She plays Marnie. What is her? Allison Williams, who is the daughter of Peter Williams, the news anchor for NBC. But Allison Williams plays the girlfriend here. And that also the brother here was one of the more, I can't remember the actors' names, but he was one of the more disturbing characters I saw this year, right up there with Will Poulter. But performances were strong. It was shot incredibly well. It will make your skin crawl, but in a good way that really makes you examine. In a good way, it really makes you think about race in a way that you may have not thought about it in. And it's people, how they classify this movie, especially as we get toward award season, has been fascinating because like the Golden Globes classified it as a comedy. And while there are comedic elements, there's no way I would classify this as a comedy. Would you?
Yeah, no, I would not.
So I think this one will get a Best Picture nom as well. So Jordan Peele, Get Out. Epic movie. Obviously, the rest on my list are epic for sure, from Wind River up. So, Andrew, what's your number 6?
My number 6, and I debated between my 5 and 6 here. But number 6 is Spider-Man: Homecoming. Really, what was that all for?
Because this didn't make my list.
Really, that's interesting. We'll get into that. But I enjoyed it. Like I said, I really considered maybe putting it higher after having watched it a second time. I liked it even more. Like I said, Marvel did a good job this year, and this is just another one of their good films from this year. I really like Tom Holland as Peter Parker. I really enjoyed Michael Keaton and as the Vulture, and
he was great.
and just that whole storyline. It was just one of the greatest Marvel villains, in my opinion, cinematic universe wise. And I just think, man, they did a good job of mixing in that Spider-Man humor and keeping some of the heart of the character and kind of what he's about, trying to balance this life of Spider-Man v. Peter Parker, and just watching his interactions with Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr. wasn't in this film too much. I didn't feel like. I don't know. I think they did a really good job with this. I really enjoyed it.
When I was making my list, this was my 14th favorite movie of the year.
Wow, interesting.
It was really well done. One of the best moments in cinema the whole year is when he opens that door to pick up his date, and it's Michael Keaton opening that door.
Yeah.
I mean, well, I mean, spoilers for these movies, not major, but I mean, it can happen.
The whole car ride after that, this tense scene.
So good. Here's what I'll say about Marvel. Like, you look at Guardians, Thor, Spider-Man, Homecoming. Like, all the Marvel movies this year were great. Like, none were good or like they were all great to great and a half, but none of them reached that epic territory of something like a Winter Soldier or a Captain America Civil War to me, or Iron Man 1 to me either. But yeah, it was a great year for Marvel, money wise and critically. So
yeah.
I mean, they got Spider-Man right. Finally, I think they got the Peter Parker aspect right. They got the Spider-Man aspect right. I can't wait to see what happens with this incarnation of Peter moving forward. So Tom Holland is a very good Spider-Man and Peter Parker.
Yeah.
So we're to the top 5. My number 5 is a movie that I adored this past summer. It is Baby Driver, directed by Edgar Wright. If you'll remember my review, I loved Ansel Elgort so much in this role. I said he could be as iconic as Marty McFly. Maybe that's a little hyperbole there on my part, but
think of co-star in that movie.
What I think about what?
His co-star in that movie.
You talking about Kevin Spacey?
Yeah.
I think I've seen this on a lot of top 10 lists, but I think that kind of left a sour taste with this movie for a lot of people. Just that was I bought this as soon as it came out on 4K Blu-ray, and like a day or two later, the Kevin Spacey news dropped. That was a movie I had planned on watching, but I can't take it out of the shrink wrap. Just because I'm not ready. I'm not saying I never will be, but I'm not ready to watch Kevin Spacey yet. But any moments in this movie where Ansel Elgort is behind the wheel, especially jamming to the soundtrack, a soundtrack that I ended up buying on vinyl, it is a hell of a lot of fun, man. And it sucks that the Kevin Spacey factor kind of brings it down a little bit. But original movie, Edgar Wright masterpiece. So I highly enjoyed this.
Is this your second movie on the list with Jon Bernthal in it?
Yeah, I hated Jon Bernthal in this movie, but Jon Bernthal did say Kevin Spacey gave him the creeps on the set of Baby Driver, for what that's worth.
Yeah.
But what's your number 5, Andrew?
My number 5, going with my kind of theme here, is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Come on. No. Now, I actually really love this movie, but number 5?
Yeah, I debated between this one and Spider-Man Homecoming. But I don't know. I think I enjoyed this a little bit more. We had the first one that really set up the Guardians of the Galaxy. And this one, I don't know. It was a good sequel to a first one. We got more of the characters. We got to explore them a little bit more. Got one of Marvel's other greater Marvel cinematic villains. So I don't know. Just enjoyed this one too. Like I said, Marvel really kicked out of the park this year, and kicked it out of the park. That's the phrase, right? And
if you play kickball,
yeah. And so yeah, my number 5. I'm guessing this one didn't make your list either, based on your reaction.
No, I didn't make my list, but I will say that this is my favorite Guardians movie. I like this one better than the first one.
Yeah, a lot of people I've been talking to lately said they like the first one more, and I think they're neck and neck for me. But I think I like this one just a little bit more. I think Ego kind of pushes it over the edge for me. Not
only Ego, but Yondu's storyline in the second movie is just freaking awesome. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was great superhero summer popcorn fun for sure. And it did have a little bit of emotional resonance with it. All right.
Summer popcorn fun. Brad Bell.
So that's number 5. So let's get to number 4. My number 4 is It by Andy Muschietti. A movie that was extremely hyped all of late summer. The trailer was the most viewed trailer in the history of YouTube at the time. Maybe Last Jedi ended up breaking that. I'm not sure. But, I mean, Skarsgård here. Alexander, I don't know if it's Bill or I think it's Alexander Skarsgård, the one that plays Pennywise in this one. He is just terrifying. He is he sticks with you in your brain. The movie wasn't as scary as I thought it was going to be. It was more the Goonies / Stand By Me / now you can say Stranger Things element of this movie that I really enjoyed. All the kids, the actors were phenomenal. The deaths, when they happened, were very impactful. Even though the scene with Georgie you saw in the trailers a dozen times, it felt like how it actually played out on the screen was a lot more violent than what you saw in the trailers.
Yeah.
And it just, I don't know. This movie was one of my favorite 2017, and it may be the most memorable movie of 2017.
Okay. It was Bill Skarsgård is the
All right, Bill. Okay, good.
Looked it up real quick.
So what's your number 4?
My number 4 is one. I feel like I think you've seen this film, but I don't recall how you feel about it. My number 4 is Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, I enjoyed the film. It didn't make my list, but
a lot of people recently I've talked to we're not big fans of this film, but they are fans of, I guess, the original animated one.
How could you not be a fan of this? It's the same exact movie.
Well, I guess I like the original one better. Some people, I saw a lot of criticism for Emma Watson and her singing ability or lack thereof by some people. I don't know. I'm not a musical fan in general, I guess. Anyway, and so this one got me for whatever reason. I like Disney films, so maybe seeing them in live action is just the right kind of musical for me. I don't know. I really enjoyed this film. I'd like to see it again. It's on Netflix, so my excuses for not watching it again are running low. But yeah, I don't know. From beginning to end, this movie just kind of had me entertained. So
I'll say this. I did see it twice because I actually took my grandmother to see it because that's her all-time favorite Disney movie is Beauty and the Beast. And it was just me and her that went and saw it. And boy, I tell you, when you get to the tale as old as time, I teared up because I remembered my grandparents taking me to see not only Beauty and the Beast, but Beauty and the Beast on Ice at the Charlotte Coliseum as well. So, I mean, that was a movie. Aladdin was my favorite Disney movie growing up, but it was, that and Lion King and Toy Story were definitely the big 4 of Disney movies for us coming up in the 90s for sure. I liked it. I mean, it is kind of a almost shot for shot remake. I mean, this movie was casted extremely well. Josh Gad was good in this movie. I mean, I'm not a big Josh Gad fan, but he was excellent playing LaFleur in this movie. And Abby enjoyed it when we went back and watched. I watched it with her the second time I saw it. First time she did say, Emma Watson's voice was not that good. She did have that comment. It's funny that you bring that up, but I mean, I wouldn't know a good singing voice from.
Right, exactly.
That's just not my expertise. So, but yeah, no, I really like that movie. It didn't make my top, but
okay.
Okay, so that was your number 4, Beauty and the Beast. My number 3 is Wonder Woman, directed by Patty Jenkins. One of the best superhero scenes of all time is when she comes out of that trench in no man's land. This movie gave me the feeling of the 1978 Superman, the 2002 Spider-Man, the 2008 Iron Man, the 89 Batman, Batman Begins, just the best superhero origin films. The villain was generic. He was paper thin, especially when he transformed into Ares. That's the knock on this movie. And I see that, but it still didn't kill my enjoyment of the movie. I just was like, I felt like I could conquer the world after this movie, and I'm a straight white male. I can't imagine if I was, a female, how they felt. I mean, it was very empowering. T-Public, who does our shirts and our coffee mugs and stuff, which you can check those out at tpublic.com/user/the real Brad Bell. Andrew is wearing the Epic Review shirt. I'm wearing a Forcecast shirt, the flagship Star Wars podcast that I actually got on TeePublic as well. But their number one selling shirt of the year was a Wonder Woman punching Donald Trump in the face that an artist did on there. So to me, that kind of sums up this movie. I know it's
2017.
And 2017 in general. So I do not own that shirt, but I kind of wish I did. Maybe I will. But Abby loved this movie. We have a not Mondo poster, but a screen printed poster by a Mondo artist in our bedroom of it. So I have not rewatched it though. So we'll see how it holds up on a second view. And I only let my parents, so they have it right now.
Okay.
But man, Patty Jenkins, Wonder Woman, one of the biggest things. Maybe that and Wonder Woman and Pennywise pornography are the two biggest things from 2017. So that's my number 3. What's your number 3, Andrew?
My number 3 is Dunkirk, Christopher Nolan.
And this did not make my list.
I was wondering. Now I'm curious. I'm sitting here trying to figure out what the rest of your list is. I think I know your number 1, but I was wondering if this was going to be on here. As we got higher and higher, I started to doubt it more and more. Dunkirk, I really enjoyed. I thought it was great. I gave it an epic. I don't know. All 3 storylines going on in this film just felt good, and the play in the story between these 3 storylines that are going on in a different amount of time throughout the film. Man, it's just really good, and some of the acting in this is phenomenal. I just really enjoyed this film all over.
Man, before you brought up Life, this was my number 11 movie, so now it would probably be number 12. But I really debated between that and Big Sick in that 10 spot. I got this for Christmas on 4K Blu-ray, and we rewatched it the other night. Yeah. Phenomenal movie as far as a technical achievement. It is one of the best films ever made. It's just, I don't know, it didn't resonate with me as much as other Christopher Nolan movies did, but still a fantastic movie.
Needs more Leonardo DiCaprio for you.
It didn't have much character, I don't think. So, okay. But I love the movie. Not my top 10 favorite of the year. All right, so that was your number 3, Dunkirk by Nolan. My number 2 is Blade Runner 2049 by Denis Villeneuve. This is a movie that we didn't get to review on the podcast, but I actually absolutely loved. Like all Denis Villeneuve movies, it was visually stunning. Ryan Gosling was great as the new replicant in this movie. One of the best opening scenes of the year between him and Dave Bautista, an interrogation scene. I won't spoil it here. God, I love that scene. When he first encounters Harrison Ford, I mean, Harrison Ford's kind of doing the retirement tour, right? He did Force Awakens, then this, and then presumably Indiana Jones 5. But man, the score in this movie was insanely good. And I got to look up who did the score for this movie real quick. You saw this movie, right, Andrew?
I did.
And you weren't as high on it as I was.
I was not as high on it as you were. I thought it was kind of long and boring, I guess.
Oh, it was Hans Zimmer. Okay. That explains it. Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't care for this one quite as much as you did. It wasn't like it's not a bad movie. It has some entertaining parts to it visually. Yeah, it's really cool.
It was long though. It was like 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Yeah.
But that fight in the rain when you got Harrison Ford and Ryan Gosling fighting against the henchman of Jared Leto. I can't remember the character's name. She's a replicant. Man, that was a great scene. And just the ending, I'm not going to spoil it here, but how they ended Harrison Ford's arc was really good. And this was a movie
Kylo Ren killed him.
that this is a movie that subverted my expectations as far as where it ended up going at the very end. So my number 2, Denis Villeneuve, Blade Runner 2049. What's your number 2, Andrew?
My number 2 is War for the Planet of the Apes.
What? I'm just kidding.
An epic movie. I've really liked every movie in this new prequel trilogy here, which is not often something you say about a prequel trilogy. This was an epic film in and of itself. I think the whole trilogy is pretty epic. It's one of my favorite movie trilogies of all time now. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's just great. If you've seen the other ones, then you kind of know what to expect here. It's a lot more like the second one. Was it Dawn? Is the second one?
Yeah, Dawn.
Rise. Okay.
It's Rise, Dawn, and then War.
So it's a lot more like the second one than the first one, but it still kind of feels like its own thing. And it is like it's similar to the second one. This is one that I feel like could be watched alone, but you'll definitely enjoy it more if you've seen the other ones, especially number 2. But man, this is just really, really good one. Andy Serkis is great at this kind of stuff. So
my number 1 is War for the Planet of the Apes, which it's not a surprise.
No.
Since we saw this movie, when we walked out of the theater, I thought it's going to be hard for any movie to beat this for me in 2017, including The Last Jedi, which didn't even come close to this movie. No. It completed one of the best blockbuster trilogies of all time, which I know most trilogies are blockbuster movies, but it was such a fitting end, such a great through line for Andy Serkis's Caesar, and a lot of the original primates that started out with him in the very first movie, which was Rupert Wyatt. And of course, Matt Reeves took over in the second movie. I'm sad this trilogy's over. I'm glad Matt Reeves is directing Batman. I hope that we get future movies in this version of the Planet of the Apes. And now that Disney owns Planet of the Apes, we'll see if they fight the Avengers now. So that's a property that they own.
X-Men versus the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah. So, I mean, the one negative of this movie is there's not a whole bunch of war. The biggest battle is the opening scene, and then you have a big one at the climax as well. But I think people expected this to be just all out ape shit, just
no pun intended.
Yeah, war. And it wasn't that. It really was. Like, Last Jedi is much more of a war film than War for the Planet of the Apes. But, man, it was just so solid. Just no missteps. Woody Harrelson was great.
Yeah.
Basically playing, Colonel Kurtz from, Apocalypse Now. So, it was a epic movie. Favorite movie of 2017. What's your number 1, Andrew?
What is my number 1, Brad? Do you know what it is?
I'm going to guess Logan. Nah, I know you didn't like that as much as I did. Get Out.
It is Get Out. Yep. Get Out's my number 1. Like you said, I mean, I don't know. It's just really good. This is one of those movies where when I first saw it, I wasn't at all interested in it, because after seeing like the first trailer, you feel like you've seen the whole movie. Like, okay, I know what this is about. Like, I know what's going on in this movie. I know everything. And there is a lot of knowing what's going on in the film. Like, it is kind of what you think it is, but at the same time, it's also not what you think it is, at least in my opinion. I thought it was really good. It's to me, it definitely is a horror film or a thriller. But there are that comedy bits that are genuine comedy that could be out of a comedy film. To me, that's integrated so well. Like, that's one of the more interesting things of the film, is they're able to integrate comedy into this horror film, and it doesn't feel out of place. Like, you laugh and then you go right back to being like, on the edge of your seat.
And not in a cheesy way. It's not like Freddy saying a one-liner in Nightmare on Elm Street before he dices.
It's not like it's not like Jason X taking sleeping bags full of hologram cheerleaders or whatever and camp counselors and hitting them into the trees. It's like,
Jason
genuine kind
X.
of like funny moments, man. Get Out was great. I really want to see it again. I really want to see all of my I'd watch all of these again. I think.
Yeah, I tried to watch War for the Planet of the Apes this morning, but I just didn't have enough time to.
Especially my top four. Top four, I gave them all epics this year. So maybe I'll go watch Beauty and the Beast and make my way through. But Get Out, my number one. It was a great film. It was my favorite film earlier in the year, and nothing ever seemed to top it, really. War for the Planet of the Apes was really close, especially being the third of this trilogy that I love. But Get Out, I think, was just kind of something special, pretty unique. So.
Yeah, from Wind River on, so my top 7, I would give all epics. Last Jedi, probably great and a half. Is where the great start. So, I mean, obviously there were some surprises on my list. You had no Nolan Dunkirk.
Yeah.
You had no Logan, which I really liked.
I was picturing Logan on there.
No Spider-Man Homecoming.
That was
so, yeah, I mean, honorable mentions for me, of course, besides those would be Thor Ragnarok and Mother. Were both really, I'd say Mother's probably a great movie if I had to rate it. Life, like you brought up on your top 10. 47 Meters Down was a good shark horror movie that I really, really enjoyed. So
what I really wanted to see this year too.
Yeah, you should check it out. What would be some of your honorable mentions?
Some of the things that made Logan, like you said, I mean, it was really good. I thought it was a good film. Detroit didn't make my list, but I thought that was, if anything, that was a little long at certain points. And I really wish that maybe some of the beginning to end had been cut off there, but I thought it was really good. It was really enjoyable.
I was surprised it didn't make your list. I thought it would be like 9-10 territory, but I thought it'd be on your list.
It was in the running. It really was. I kind of went back and forth. That and Baby Driver both are movies that I really liked, but I probably like Baby Driver even a little bit more. The Pennywise the Clown just wasn't as terrifying as I was kind of expecting it to be. And that's how I kept it off there. Wonder Woman didn't make my list either.
Well, I kind of figured that you weren't ever as high on that movie as I was.
No. But I mean, I do think I think it's a good solid origin film. It really almost, I was debating on putting it on my list. But it just didn't make it. It's a little too, I mean, it's just an origin film. It's the best thing DC's done.
Yeah.
But to me, it's still like a superhero origin film. It's worth watching for sure. I definitely recommend it. Lego Batman, I really liked. That came out this year. Wasn't going to make my list, but I thought it was worth just kind of mentioning. I think that's mostly it for honorable mentions. Oh, and Kingsman as well. I really liked the second Kingsman film.
I haven't seen. I'm going to watch it here soon.
Okay. To me, it didn't have the heart of the first one, but it was still very entertaining. It was very funny. I think that's worth an honorable mention as well.
All right, I have a few just kind of closing questions here about 2017 entertainment-wise. We'll keep it to movie and TV, so no video games here. What was your biggest entertainment disappointment of 2017? You think about that, I'll tell you mine. Mine was Justice League. As much
that's what I was thinking too.
As I didn't hate that movie as much as everybody else was, it was just a okay movie. It wasn't, terrible, but it's just, this is freaking Justice League. We've been waiting for it for years and years, decades for some people, and it just was, it was a generic superhero movie. So, that was a disappointment.
I mean, I guess by the time it came out, disappointment. There's two that kind of sit with me. There's that because it's just of what Justice League could have and should have been. It's very disappointing that that's what we got. But by the time they came out, that's kind of what I was expecting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Last Jedi, I was really expecting this big, grand Empire Strikes Back level film, and maybe that's unfair of me because that's a near perfect film in my opinion.
Yeah.
But so there was some disappointment there. But I mean, it's definitely made my top 10 number 10. It's definitely better than Justice League. Justice League was just a little bit of a train wreck there.
Speaking of the Star Wars thing, just 2017, not financially, but from other aspects has been a rocky road for Star Wars, because you had the whole Lord and Miller fallout and replaced them with Ron Howard on Han Solo. We'll see how that turns out. I'm still looking forward to that movie, even though there's rumors it's trash. We'll see. You had the Star Wars Last Jedi backlash. I mean, it's the thing that's divided this fan community more than anything since the prequels, and probably the first two prequel movies at that.
Yeah.
So that was a disappointment, that it wasn't this, oh my God, this is one of the best, this competes with Empire. Like, that's what I wanted to. And as much as I enjoyed that film, it was not that.
No.
So, I'd say that was a disappointment for me. So we're pretty on par with those things. What was the most overrated thing in entertainment 2017? And you kind of have said this year was the year of stuff being overrated.
Yeah, I think this year a lot of things were overrated. I mean, depending on who you ask, Last Jedi could be overrated. The way some people talk about it.
Some people hate it, though. I mean, it wasn't like universally loved.
They can love it. Some people think it's better than The Empire Strikes Back, but I get what you're saying. To me, I don't know. The one that sticks out to me, I'm not sure this. I'd have to really look at it. But the one that sticks out to me most is Wonder Woman. I think that was.
What about Logan?
No, Logan. I mean, maybe Logan's a little overrated. I think Wonder Woman's a lot more overrated. I think Wonder Woman some people, I mean, a lot of DC films, there are those DC fans that they're going to sit there and defend Suicide Squad to the last breath.
Yeah.
But Wonder Woman, to me, is like, it's a good film. But some people are like, they did it. Like, DC made one of the best superhero films. And I'm like, it's not that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was just the timing of the movie and the feels it gave people, I guess. Like, if I was making top 10 favorite superhero movies of all time, it would be between 10 and 12, probably.
Okay.
But yeah, I can see that. My thing is, I'm kind of going to mesh this with another question I had. Biggest entertainment surprise. I'm going to combine this with being overrated. You and I just said that Marvel was great this year, and they no doubt were. Like, none of those movies were below a great that they released. But it's just like, Marvel's almost become too big to fail at this point.
I'm listening. And
it's like, you know how you talk about how people will defend Suicide Squad to the last breath and whatnot. I just feel like people are, and this is a lot because Marvel has a great track record, and they've earned this with not just fans and geeks, but average cinema goers. They just have this, it's going to be a good movie no matter what. And even subpar movies, which none of these were subpar this year. Think of something like Ant-Man was a good movie, right? It wasn't a great or epic movie, I would say, but Doctor Strange, yeah, that's another one. I just feel like they can do no wrong, and a lot of that's earned, but a lot of that's scary, because I'll say the biggest entertainment surprise, which is another question I have, what's the biggest surprise for you, good or bad, is the Marvel effect and how that leaked into Star Wars. We saw that Marvel humor in Last Jedi, how you saw studios like Universal trying to build this cinematic universe with the Universal Monsters cinematic universe. And it's just like, I know I said this on the Last Jedi podcast, but Marvel's something special. Not everything can be Marvel. And I don't want everything to try to imitate Marvel. This Marvel effect scares me a little.
Yeah, but whatever. The Marvel films are still good, though. So,
yeah, but at what cost? That they ruin every other franchise because every other franchise tries to imitate it.
But that's the other franchises ruining themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're making good movies, and other people want to imitate that. And they're just not doing it.
But now that Disney owns more and more, I feel like it'd be a more forced imitation. You saw Marvel leaking the Star Wars, but
yeah, no, I got you.
Another surprise for me
Okay.
is how many people just absolutely did not like Alien Covenant. It was a very good movie to me. It wasn't a great movie.
Yeah.
It's maybe the most beautiful Alien film. It's more about the Michael Fassbender character than it is the Xenomorphs. I think that kind of subverted some people's expectations, but I didn't think I knew it wasn't going to make a ton of money because it was R-rated, but yeah, just the reception of that by the fans and just how it seems like nobody liked that movie. Evan hated that movie. I thought it was a good movie, not great.
Well, like I said, I didn't even go see it because I didn't like Prometheus enough that I didn't even want to go see it. So
what was there a big surprise for you in 2017?
Get Out was a big surprise for me.
Yeah.
Just because, like I said, when I first saw that, it looked cool. I saw that the first trailer. I'm like, oh, this looks cool, but maybe I'll watch it when it comes out or something. You know what I mean? Like
Never expected it to be the number one movie on your list.
No, I mean, once I start getting this buzz, I'm like, all right, cool. I'll go check this out in theaters. And I did, and man, I was very happy that I did. I thought it was really good. And been touting its praises since then.
All right, so I have a final question, unless you got anything else. My final question is, besides Infinity War, just off the top of your head, I mean, we'll do lists and countdowns and stuff, but like what movie going into 2018 besides Infinity War are you most looking forward to off the top of your head?
I mean, oh geez.
Think about that for a second, and I'll tell you mine. Mine is Sicario 2, Soldado, and I'm really looking. You got Benicio del Toro's returning. You got Josh Brolin returning. Taylor Sheridan is an up and coming director. The trailer for it just looks like it's going to be Sicario turned up to 10, which in a way is a bit scary, but. You haven't seen Sicario, have you?
I haven't, no.
You need to watch that. You need to watch Arrival too. So
I did
as well. So I'm really looking forward to Sicario 2. So what about you besides Infinity War?
I'm going to sound like such a fanboy, but it's more of a kind of a curiosity sake, and that's Black Panther. Because these, we've got these 3 really good Marvel films that came out this year, but they're all so comedic that it's like I really want to see like Black Panther looks like it's going to be something different, but did they make it very funny as well? That's definitely not what the trailers would lead you to believe. But I'm just curious to see this another Marvel film that's maybe more of their old style than their newer style.
I'm interested to see. Can Infinity War be an actually dark, stakes-driven movie? Or will it, at the end of the day, be not consequential and it'll have a lot of humor? Like, how humorous do you feel that this movie will be, Infinity War?
Infinity War, if I had to bet, I would say is going to be more humorous than Black Panther.
Do you think it will be more humorous than The Last Jedi?
Yeah, I would imagine, because, I mean, it's an Avengers film. And then you're including like Guardians of the Galaxy and Spider-Man's coming back, and you have this Thor Ragnarok Thor now, you know what I mean, and Hulk and whatnot. So
yeah,
I think Hulk and Thor are going to be a little more serious in Infinity War than they were in Ragnarok.
Oh yeah,
but I mean, what we're going to see, I guess we're going to have Thor meeting Guardians of the Galaxy, so maybe Thor will be a little funny again. Who knows?
And it's kind of like going into last year. Star Wars was the big movie, right? This year it's Infinity War. So it's Disney once again.
And I'm also interested to see Han Solo, just because.
Me too.
I'm interested to see a trailer for Han Solo to try to see the feel of this movie. Is it gonna feel like another Star Wars movie, or did they let them do a little something different, or did they bring in Ron Howard to tune it back? You know what I mean?
It'll be that gold dice will be in there. That's one thing I can promise you.
Yeah, absolutely, it will.
I just want to bring this up. I'm kind of worried about 2018 entertainment-wise, movie and TV, and I'm going to tell you why. It almost feels like 2018 is an off year for entertainment. And here's what I mean. No Game of Thrones this year. No Stranger Things this year. Big Little Lies, which was a big surprise as far as a show I never would have dreamed would have been as good as it was, the HBO miniseries with Reese Witherspoon, Nicole Kidman, that Abby and I just love. But that's not coming back on to 2019. There's no Star Wars as far as, Skywalker episode, right? That'd be 2019. So it's like 2018 is about to start, and I'm more looking forward to 2019 than I am 2018.
I'm more looking forward to Red Dead Redemption 2, I think, than anything else.
When's that? June?
No, that's like March, I believe. It's not that far away.
But man, but is that a legitimate complaint that it feels like none of this stuff that really captivated people is going to be present in this year?
Nah.
I'll go look at the summer movies.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, it's a thin season, man.
Sure. No, I get you. What DC movies are coming out this year?
None.
Wow, really?
Yeah. So you'll have Wonder Woman 2 and Aquaman.
Jurassic World 2 comes out this year, though, right?
Yeah. Let me look up real quick Aquaman.
Okay.
Because that may be December 2018. Just real quick, Aquaman, it's looking like it is going to be 2018. December 21st, 2018. So December will be busy with no Star Wars movie next year because you'll have Aquaman, the animated Spider-Man movie, Bumblebee's coming out in December.
Wow, that's weird. A lot of these movies you did not see in December. So
I really wish they would push Han Solo back to December because I know
when is it coming out? November?
Memorial Day weekend.
Really?
Yes, and that was always the Star Wars weekend until Disney bought them.
Right.
And now Star Wars is just
come out.
It was December.
I thought, okay.
So the past 3 Christmases are right around there. We've had Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
And I'm spoiled. It's become a part of my Christmas season. So
well, I mean, we're getting we're getting some stuff though. We're finally getting the Guard Particle Cloverfield.
Yeah.
3, whatever it is.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So
there's some stuff out there.
Next week, I'll say we'll try to do our top 5 most anticipated movies. We'll do a shorter episode probably of spring and a winter and spring. So that will be January 1st to April 30th.
Okay. When's the live action Lion King? Is that next year or that's 2019?
2019.
Dang.
Yeah.
Just let's cancel it. Cancel 2019.
Can we skip forward to 2019?
Let's watch Infinity War on January 1st and then move on.
Hey, maybe this is a good year to have my first kid, though. Like, I mean, there's these movies. It kind of feels like, in a way, how if you remember the year Avengers came out, it was Avengers and Dark Knight Rises. And it felt like everything else was just filler.
Yeah.
Those were just such big headliners. I feel like, you have your Infinity War and Han Solo and Deadpool, and everything else is, I don't know. It's not filler. That's wrong with me to say, but
No. I mean, there's some stuff out there. Like I said, there's a guy particle. There's like you mentioned, Deadpool, Ready Player One, Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's going to be a good film. There's some stuff out there.
There's
some stuff that there's probably some comedies that have come out that they haven't even released info yet for. So we'll wait and see.
Well, the good thing is too, it's like I know I'm going to be a lot busier at the end of April, but there are those movies that I know I will make time to go see. Like I'm going to see Infinity War and Han Solo. Like that's going to be our first 2 date nights. We've already said.
Okay.
And I'm going to go see like Jurassic World, but probably a lot less of the filler stuff. But I'm looking forward at the beginning of this year, especially if some of this stuff hits on demand, like checking out some of these Oscar movies. So
yeah,
that's kind of what January and February are about too, is catching up on that stuff because the Oscars are March 4th.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I'm pretty so.
Is it Black Panther February though?
Is Black Panther February? Yeah, it is February. And you have an Insidious movie coming out in January as well. So Jerry, be excited for that. Do you think that Get Out and Dunkirk both get Best Picture nominations? If you had to guess.
How many movies are they doing now?
They can do up to 10.
Sure. Dunkirk definitely will. Hopefully Get Out will as well. It should.
Man, I would love to see Get Out win Best Picture, even over Dunkirk. And I want Nolan to win so bad. So even though that wasn't in my top 10, but I love these top 10 episodes, man. They're so much fun. So you can look forward to the one next week, which will just be a top 5 of winter and spring 2018.
Next week or is it the week after?
I
thought next week we're you.
You want to do Bright next week, or you want to wait to? I just figured since it would be top 5, since it would be January.
I mean, either way, I'm fine either way.
All right, let's do top 5 next week, and then and then next week after that we'll do Bright, the polarizing Netflix show that had $100 million budget. No, but I can't wait to watch it. I haven't watched it yet. David Ayer, Suicide Squad, and Max Landis. Okay. Have you seen Bright yet?
No, I haven't. I almost watched it yesterday. I didn't get a chance. I started watching Santa Claus instead because that's just the kind of person I am.
After Christmas?
It was just I don't know why. I was just putting on something to kill like about half an hour, and then I ended up watching almost all of it.
Man, I have got all the Christmas stuff down and crap. Like, once it's over, like if I was off work like January 2nd, I probably would have left it up through the new year. Yeah. But I don't know. I was cleaning. It took me like 3 hours, 4 hours to get my Christmas stuff down.
Yeah.
And I had a bunch of glitter on me. It was like, going to a strip club or something. It was ridiculous. Like,
just like that. I still have my Christmas decorations up.
It was you really decked the halls over there.
I don't think you saw it with everything else. You didn't see. Maybe you did. I don't remember. It's nice. It's good for me. Okay.
It's not classic though. I miss when we used to podcast at your old house and we'd have the Christmas tree up to start a summer movie season.
That wasn't my doing.
Yeah, it was not. It was your sister. So, all right. That's going to wrap it up. 80 episodes, man. So, Andrew Stokes, where can people find more of you?
You can follow me on Twitter at AKA Andrew Stokes, where I like to tweet things that'll make Brad's phone go off during the podcast.
Yep. That's right. You can find me at Twitter at The Real Brad Bell, DREEL Brad Bell. Instagram, check us out on there at Confirmed Epic Podcast, Stardust at Confirmed Epic, the shirts at The Real Brad Bell /user /tpublic, or excuse me, I said that backwards, tpublic.com/user /The Real Brad Bell. actionfigurebarbecue.com, barbecue spelled out. Jerry's serving up those reviews hot and fresh daily. A lot of Star Wars Black Series on there now to commemorate the release of The Last Jedi. Geeks Worldwide, dgww.com, and TH Epic Review, theepicreview.com. And from the Hollywood foothills of North Carolina, we are out.
That's all I have to say about that.
This has been a production of the GWW Radio Network. Please don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review us on iTunes, Stitcher, and SoundCloud. Also, check out Geeks Worldwide at thegww.com for all the latest news, reviews, and opinions on video games, comics, movies, TV, cosplay, and more. Geeks, assemble!